What's up, gentlemen? Welcome back to Man Talk, where I help you become a strong, proud, and kind man. And we all have issues inside. We all have things from the past that have haunted us that keep us from really achieving everything we could, being the man that we could in this day and age. And there's a common trope in society today that in order to deal with these things, men need to be emotional. Men need to cry and let it all out and be in touch with their feelings. But is there a more masculine way for us men to be able to do this? Let's find out. Alright, so it can be tough for a man to really be in touch with his emotions and to deal with his emotions. We're not the same as women, right? It's totally different. And so when people tell us to get in touch with our emotions, to really feel our emotions, it's not really so easy for us, and it's not the same. But men suffer the same way women do when it comes to trauma and when it comes to issues and anxieties deep down. So if we're not the same as women, then how are we going to deal with it and get over it so we can be the best that we can be? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to accept things for how they are. And that is the first step for a man to really start healing his wounds. Look, 99% of us have a wound. And if you don't know what yours is, then think about the areas that are holding you back. Think about the areas where you're super scared. Think about the areas where you just can't seem to break through. You just can't seem to really surpass what's inside. And so, for instance, one of my deepest fears, one of my wounds growing up my whole life was that people are just going to leave me forever and never come back. And this is caused by some things that happened early on in my childhood. That's for a different video. But that was my fear. That was my wound. And in order for me to really get over that, to stop being so needy from people around me, in order to stop clinging on to people, in order to stop pushing people away with my wound, with my neediness, I had to accept it first. I had to accept it for what it was and accept that I had that wound and accept that I had to do something about it and I had to get over it. You gotta realize that this is always gonna hold us back if we don't solve it. It's gonna be there for our whole life. And what's life gonna be like if we don't get over this? Don't push it away and hide it in the shadows, because things only get stronger when they're put in the shadow, and sunlight is the best disinfectant for these things. Bringing this out into the light, bringing this wound to the surface is gonna hurt. It's gonna suck, and it's not gonna be easy at first, but when we shine that light of knowing, of knowledge upon it and stop ignoring it and let it feel known and let it feel heard, that's the first step to getting over it. So accept what your wound is and accept that you have one, because that's how a man is gonna deal with his shit. First and foremost is he's gonna accept what it is, not ignore it, and bring it to light. The more you ignore things, the longer they're gonna fester. The harder it is for those things to be solved. So just get off your ass and do it right now. All right, and so the next step is the one that is most often going to be the hardest for us dudes to really do, and that's to go and actually get some help. It's fair, right? Going and saying, look, I need help. Look, I'll be the first one to say, like, that's tough to do. I don't ask for help often. But there came a time in my life where these problems just kept holding me back from the things that I wanted. They just kept holding me back from the life that I could see myself living. And at that point, I knew that there was something wrong. I knew I had been through some things in life, and I knew that I had to get these things solved. And so I did. I went to go see a counselor. I went to go see a therapist, and I really started digging into these things, and I really started digging into the root of why I felt the way I did and why I handled certain situations the way I did. Speaking to someone really helps, especially when they're educated and they can take you through the mental maps of your mind and guide you through these things that, man, they're so tough to deal with if you don't know what's going on. When you've been hurt and you've been pushed around and you have been through so much in life, but you don't know why you feel the way you do, and to have someone there who can really help you figure it out alongside you, that you can trust, that's so important, and it's so helpful. Absolutely. Counseling is honestly the ultimate self-development tool, man. When you first sit down to do that, it's gonna open a can of worms that you have no idea about, and it's just gonna be hell on earth for the first little bit. But it always gets worse before it gets better. And that little bit of hell on earth at first, in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, man, that is gonna help you push through. That is going to ultimately be what you look back on. Be like, man, I felt this way. I felt so shit. I felt so terrible about myself. But look, I made it through. I made it happen. I am the freaking man. Never be afraid of asking for help. Asking for help is not weakness. Asking for help is the ultimate form of strength, especially when you're taking it seriously. And buddy, when you know that you need it and you ask for it, nothing will make you stronger. And next up, gentlemen, in order for us men to overcome our wounds, we gotta do the things that we are too damn scared to do. You see, the only way to beat a fear, to really take control of it, is to face it head on. Unless it's crabs. And so for me, like I talked about before, my fear, my wound was the fear of being unworthy, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of not being lovable. But I got over it. I dealt with it. I conquered it. And one of the ways I did this was by facing my fears head on. So I was always scared that I wasn't going to be good enough for someone. So I was too scared to talk to women, or I was too scared to go on dates with women. And so you know what I did? I did a ton of that. And I just, every time I got scared, I was like, no, who cares? I'm going to power through it. And I'm going to go on this date. And I'm going to do my best to see how far this can go. Perfect example of this is, I always think of in Harry Potter, they have the thing called a boggart, which is like a little shape-shifting demon which hides in the darkness, which hides in cupboards and under sinks and whatever dark nooks and crannies that it can find to live in. But you never see its original form, because every time it comes out, it always takes the shape of the darkest, deepest fear of whoever's nearest to it. And the only way to beat this thing, the only way to zap it out of existence, is to face it head on. Take it head on and turn it into something else. And you do that with a little spell, but in real life, we don't have spells, we don't have magic. The only type of magic and spells we have is our will. Our will to power through things and turn our fears into something else by facing them head on, by zapping them into non-existence, by facing them head on until they are no longer there. Gentlemen, dealing with your problems, asking for help, conquering these things, admitting that there's something inside of you that hurts, that needs to be noticed, that needs to be taken care of, that is the most masculine thing you can do. Because men solve their problems, men take care of their issues, and men don't let their emotions sway them. They don't let their wounds dictate their life. So gentlemen, if we have wounds, let's take care of them. Let's do this. Let's go all in and become healthier men, become stronger men, become more kind men, become prouder men, because we've been in the trenches with our issues. We've been in the trenches with our wounds, and we know and accept our emotions, but we don't let them sway us. We don't let them control us. In my opinion, that's what a healthy, strong, proud, and kind man is all about. Thanks for tuning in this week, gentlemen, to another episode of Man Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can go down below and sauce me one of these beautiful, sexy boys right here. You can smash that subscribe button for me down below, and tune in next week for more fantastic content just like this. Now, like I said a few times before already, stay strong, stay proud, stay kind, and of course, always, buddy, stay handsome.